Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, first offer our obeisances to Narayan, the personality of Godhead, Narayan Rishi, supermost human being, and to Srila Vyasdeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular tenets and classes of Srimad Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious in the heart becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, comes into being as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Purana Brahma Samitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishayasaya Lokasya Danyam Swastayanam Mahat. That this Srimad Bhagavatam is a purely spiritual incarnation of God. It is written by Vyasdeva, the incarnation of God, in its full maturity, and it is in all auspicious and all good and all successful for everyone. We're on Canto 3, Chapter 14, Text 33 and 34. Is that right?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj.
Do you want to repeat? Ditistu Vidita Tena
Didistu Ridita Tena
Karma Vajena Bharata
Karma Bhadyena Bharata
Upasangamya Viprarshim
Upasangamya Viprashim
Ado Mukya Vipasita
Ado Mukya Abhyabhasata
Jitistu Vidita Tena
Didistu Ridita Tena
Karma Vajena Bharata
Karma Bhadyena Bharata
Upasangamya Viprarshim
Upasangamya Viprashim
Ado Mukya Vipasita
Ado Mukya Abhyabhasata
Diti, the wife of Kashyap. Repeat. Repeat. Diti, everybody. The wife of Kashyapa.
Deti, the wife of Kasyapa.
2. But.
But.
Vidita, ashamed.
Redita, ashamed.
Tena, by that.
Tena, by that.
Karma, act.
Karma, act.
Avajena, faulty.
Avadyena, faulty.
Bharata, O son of the Bharat family.
Bharata, O son of the Bharat family.
Upasamgamya, going nearer to.
Upasangamya, going nearer to.
Vipra Rishim, the Brahmana sage.
Vipra Rishim, the Brahmana sage.
Ada Mukhi, with her face lowered.
Ada Mukhi, with her face lowered.
Abhyabhasata, politely said.
Abhyabhashata, politely said.
O son of the Bharat family. Diti, after this, went nearer to her husband, her face lowered because of her faulty action. She spoke as follows. Report by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Jai.
When one is ashamed of an abominable action, one naturally becomes down-faced. Diti, due to her senses, after the abominable sexual intercourse with her husband, such sexual intercourse is condemned as prostitution. In other words, sex life with one's wife is equal to prostitution if the regulated principles are not properly followed. Okay, we say we're going to do 2 verses, so we'll do that. Text 34. Diti uvacha name garbhami mam brahman
Name Garbhami Mam Brahman
bhutanam rishabho vadut
Bhutanam Rishabhovadit
rudra pitir hi bhutanam
Rudrahi Patirhi Bhutanam
yasya karavam anghasam.
Yashakaram Amhasam.
Anybody want to go for it?
Ditir Uvachar Name Garbham Imam Brahman
Namidavam Imam Brahma
Bhutanam Rishabhovadit
Bhutanam Visavovadu
Rudra Patirhi Bhutanam
Rudra patir hi bhutanam
Yashakaravam Amhasam.
yasya karanam ambasam. Diti
Ditiruvacha
Okay. Diti uvacha
Namidavam Imam Brahma
name
Name
garbham
Garbham
imam
Imam
brahman
Bhutanam Visavovadu
Bhutanam Rishabhovadit
Rapatirhi Bhutanam
Rudrahir Patirhi Bhutanam
Amhasam
Yashakaravam Amhasam.
yasya karavamamasam. Name garbham imam brahman bhutanam rishabho. Okay, you're repeating. Okay, we'll go back. Diti uvacha.
Ditiruvacha,
The beautiful Diti said,
the beautiful deity said,
na, not,
not,
may, my,
my,
garbham, pregnancy,
Garbham, pregnancy,
imam, this,
Imam, this,
Brahman, O Brahmana,
Brahman, oh Brahmana,
Bhutanam, of all living entities,
Bhutanam, of all living entities,
Rishabha, the noblest, Abhadit, let him kill,
Abadit let him kill,
Rudra, Lord Shiva,
Rudra, Lord Shiva,
Pati, Master,
Pati, Master,
he, certainly,
he, certainly,
Bhutanam, of all living entities,
Bhutanam, of all living entities,
Yasya, whose,
Yasya whose,
Akaravam,
uh,
I have done,
a caravan I have done,
Anghasam,
has some
offense.
offense.
The beautiful deity said, my dear Brahmana, kindly see that my embryo is not killed by Lord Shiva, the Lord of all living entities, because of the great offense I have committed against him. Purport. Diti was conscious of her offense and was anxious to be excused by Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva had two popular names, Rudra and Ashutosh. He's very prone to anger as well as quickly pacified. Diti knew that because of his being quickly angered, he might spoil the pregnancy she had so unlawfully achieved. Someone else continue reading. I'll be right back.
But because he was also Ashutosh, she implored her Brahmana husband to help her in pacifying Lord Shiva, for her husband was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. In other words, Lord Shiva might have been angry with Deity because she obliged her husband to transgress the law, but he would not refuse her husband's prayer. Therefore, the application for excuse was submitted through her husband. She prayed to Lord Shiva as follows. Hare Krishna. So, devotees, we thank you for being here as always. Maharaj will be back in a few minutes. Let's see that.
Nadia Gojumani Tananda Mahajan Nadia Gojumani Tananda Mahajan.
All right, I'm back. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Traveling. Okay. So this is a meaningful Leela, of course, like all of them. In DT,
Maharaj, it seems your camera is turned off. We cannot see you, Maharaj.
the picture, yeah, okay. I don't know why anybody wanted to see me, but
Maharaj, we want to see you.
okay, so
Okay.
everybody kind of knows if you saw the movie, you know, DT, she was lusty. It wasn't exactly just dirty old lust. She wanted to have a son, you know, which is normal. And, you know, all her sisters had children, but it was the wrong time of day. And he tried to tell her. And it's interesting, even then, you know, and she gets blamed, but Prabhupada actually mentions, you know, he was weak. He told her, no, this is a bad time. But when she started, you know, crying and thinking how, you know, then he gave in because he wasn't like Haridas Thakur or somebody completely free from lust and sex desire. So they're both responsible. And of course, we know she's giving birth to these demons, but that has its purpose because otherwise there'd be no Nrsingadev, right? So Krishna accomplishes many things. must have been that within the universe, there were a lot of people that somehow needed to be eliminated. So he's brought Jai and Vijay in. No one else could become such a powerful demon. And he let them, rampage the universe for a long time. Hiranyaksha got wiped out early on, but Hiranyakashipu went on and on and on for many, many kalpas or something. So, and he thought he was, so anyway. So DT understood. There's another place where they talk about the heavenly planets, and the women will enjoy some kind of sex and then they feel guilty afterwards. Like anybody, we do something wrong, and except if someone is a psychopath, they feel like, no, it's fine. Whatever I do is perfect. Everyone else is wrong. But a normal person, he does something wrong, he'll feel bad about it. Even if you see dogs like that, if someone chastises their dog, then the dog, he feels bad. So it's just a natural trait. So she's begging Lord Shiva, because the time of day was in between day and night, and that's when Shiva goes out. And we've all, I think, experienced that. That time of day gets a little weird. Everything starts changing, from daytime mood to nighttime mood, but in between it's always a little crazy. A lot of people running around and bewildered. So there are very strong statement in this purport about what is illicit sex. Sometimes Prabhupada says within marriage, that's for the Sudras that aren't devotees. But if someone is a devotee and really wants to go back to Godhead, then there's more regulations. Something like, we may say we're vegetarian, but we're prasaditarians, Krishnatarians. We take only prasadam, not just vegetarian, not that we go to any vegetarian or vegan or whatever restaurant and enjoy the varieties of the buffet. We take only prasadam. So many rules like that. Shiva is a very amazing person. He has two main names, Rudra. Rudra means anger. So there's many Rudras, and when they first appeared, there were many, and they were just started destroying the universe because that's his purpose, that's his main mission. But it's not supposed to happen till the end of the universe. So then Vishnu told him, you better just stop for now. Wait till the end of the universe. So he's easily angered though, but he's also Asutosh. Asutosh means, I think, both. He's easily angered and he's easily pleased. So Lord Shiva's devotees, they don't have to do much. They can please him and he'll give some material benediction so they don't bother him anymore. Something like sometimes we visit, especially in India, you visit someone in their office and they'll just give us a little bit kind of a donation right away. And then it's all over, you got your donation now and you can go and leave me to my business. So he's like that. He wants to just chant. He wants to just meditate on the Lord. He chants Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he doesn't want to be bothered. So when people ask him even for, bad things, he gives it. But he's also capable of giving bhakti. So if someone worships Lord Shiva in that real mood of wanting bhakti, that would be all right. But Prabhupada, when he met one very big Shaivite in, I think, Madras, the devotees had all tried. Nobody could defeat him. He was really fixed up. So they brought Prabhupada. And then he finally said, Well, if someone is worshiping Shiva in order to get Krishna like the gopis did or something, Prabhupada said yes, but nobody's doing that. All the Shaivite people, they're praying Dhanam Dehi, Dhanam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, Jana Dehi, make me popular, make me rich, make me beautiful, give me lots of beautiful associates. That's the mantras they use for demigods. And they think they're getting benediction when they get those things. But actually it's a curse. It burdens them, it drags them away from Krishna, makes them think that their false ego blows up. I'm getting so much mercy. I got elected. I'm rich. I won the court case. In the material world, Krishna is advising us equal-minded in pleasant and unpleasant events is one way. Sitoshna Sukha Dukkha Agamo Payanain. These dualities which arise by mental concoction, don't give it up. Don't be controlled by them. So Krishna is guiding us in so many ways, so many places. He's listing off these victory and defeat, honor and dishonor, fame and infamy, success and failure, rich and poor. Those are the really strong ones. Beautiful and ugly now. All the propaganda everywhere is you have to be beautiful. You have to have beautiful clothes. You have to have a beautiful car, or you have to have a beautiful dog, or a beautiful house, beautiful wife, especially. And then in the Vedas promises all those things. So Krishna says, be aware of the flowery words of the Vedas. Those are the words that are promising heavenly planets, millions of births, and, with a celestial vehicle, not a BMW or something, but, like a house, and it can go anywhere you want just by thinking about it. You don't have to have any fuel. You don't have to have a driver. It just goes wherever you want. And it's full of people who are very beautiful and are worshiping you. Beware of that, because you'll become attached. And when you have to come back sometime, Chine Punye Marchalokam Vishanti, after enjoying life on the higher planets, I think it says the planet of Indra, and you have to come back down to this planet of death. Mityu Sarva Haram, this is Mityu Loka. Death is certain. For one who is born, death is certain. For one who is dead, birth is certain. So therefore, don't get excited about either one. It's all changing all the time. We lament when someone dies, especially if they're good people, that, we miss their association. Same time, we know for them, everything's much better now. Like, we had a meeting last week, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, and I was thinking, like, without him there in the GBC meeting, there's a really big empty space. Many are not aware of it because they weren't on the GBC when he was there. But he was very, very influential and often disagreeing with everybody. But he would get away with it because he was right, and he was so convinced. He was equal to all. He was very fair-minded, and no matter, in spite of being so strong, he had the softest heart. So that's a very rare combination. But anyway, so we miss people when they're gone, but then we know that something's better, and we have the memories. And like Krishna's never gone, of course. Even I heard one famous Mayavadi, he was saying, look at Krishna and Rama, they must be great, they must be very great. He didn't say they must be God, but said, otherwise 5,000 years and everybody still worships and remembers. It's got to be something great. You know, how can you deny that they can have a Krishna temple in Mathura or a Ram temple in Ayodhya? After millions of years, everybody remembers Ram and relishes, you know, his life and his pastimes. That's Krishna, the most famous. So Diti was worried that Shiva would be angry, but Shiva had no reason to be angry at her. What she did had no effect on Shiva. You know, what does he care? It's a common thing that people are having sex at all different times of the day. It's one reason they have so many crazy people now taking birth, because the parents, they're not at all considerate of what time they engage in procreation. So very often they're intoxicated, or they just had a big fight, and then, you know, the mode of passion, the fights in the mode of passion. So then they have sex to so-called make up. Then they get pregnant. They didn't really want a child, but then they have one, so they take care of it. So we have a lot of disturbed children in the world. I don't know about Africa, but in America, so much trouble. But he's also Asutosh. So she asked her husband, you know, who is a devotee of Shiva, to help her to pacify Lord Shiva. She was actually very submissive and dependent on her husband. But marriage means, you know, there has to generally, unless people are very spiritually advanced, there's physical intimacy and there's exchanges of that, not love. People call it love now, but because when people are following the rules and regulations, they want to have children when they join together. So then it's a very spiritual and wonderful time of sharing and planning, you know, to work together to help some soul to navigate his way through and out of this material world. You know, you can't do that with the Google Maps or the Waze or, you know, any other kind of trick. To find our way out of the material world, we need the guidebook. The Bhagavad Gita is the guidebook. It's the user manual for human beings. Human life is meant Atato Brahma Jigyasa. So that's what the Bhagavad Gita is about, inquiring after the absolute truth, wanting to know who I am, who is Krishna, what am I doing here, where am I going, how will I get to a better place. Everything is in the Bhagavad Gita and much more. The more we read Bhagavad Gita, and the more we, especially if we're lecturing, we sometimes get a lot of questions. A lot of the questions are very repetitive because new people are joining classes and stuff. Sometimes because people haven't read the books. Jayapataka Maharaj was just writing how, you know, people can get deviated so easily. In Vrindavan, especially Radhakund, there's so many people who tell you, you know, I'll tell you your Siddha Pranali, I'll tell you what your real position is in the spiritual world. And they think that Gaudiya Vaishnavas are all like Shanti Ras. So they usually say, you know, a peacock or a monkey or a parrot or something. And then he told a story. This was way back. One devotee, actually, he was a sannyasi. He was with Vishnujan and Brahmananda and Gargamuni when they were kicked out. I don't know exactly. Gargamuni said they didn't know why he was there. Anyway, he was back to New Vrindavan from Vrindavan, and people saw him walking very funny and going like this with his head and, looking down on the ground. And they asked him what he's doing. He said, I'm practicing because I was told that in the Goloka I'm a peacock. So Jayapataka Maharaj is saying, that's why he stresses everybody, read the books, read the books, read the books. So you won't be treated like that. You won't be fooled. You'll know what's real and what's not real. So she's praying to Lord Shiva. That's the next verse. So we're very fortunate to, have this Srimad Bhagavatam. And, the more we read these, the stories are definitely there. There's definitely stories. But the story in the Bhagavatam, the story part is a little bit short. The battles are a little bit short, but the philosophy part's quite big. In the Mahabharata, the philosophy is small and the battles are very long, or the discussions of, different things, or the lusty affairs are very long usually. But in the Bhagavatam, it's mostly, Lord Chaitanya said it's only bhakti. Everything is bhakti. Whatever it looks like in the Bhagavatam, it's all bhakti, nothing else. The soul and the Supreme Soul getting connected. We had a Gita Jayanti at the Gita Ashram Temple in Lagos. And one man spoke, and he was very nice. And, he was quoting a lot of slokas and giving all these analogies like we've never heard, how things compare to this and that, and the Pandavas compare to this and that. But he said the idea is from Jivatma to Paramatma. You can become Paramatma. I couldn't tell if he was saying you become Paramatma or you merge into Paramatma, but somehow or other, whereas we're saying, and Bhagavatam saying, you serve the Paramatma. The Jiva is a servant. Jivara Swarupoi, Nichara Krishna Das. We're servants. That's our position in the spiritual world. That's our position in the material world. That's our position in the heavenly planet. That's our position in hell. We're actually servants of Krishna. But when we forget that, then we try to serve our senses. I may serve my country, my company, my family, but actually I'm trying to serve my senses, trying to satisfy my tongue, belly, and genitals. If I serve my wife nicely, she'll serve me nicely. If I take care of my children, hopefully they'll, get good professions and take care of me later. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, many people are finding that that's not happening. Their children want to cheat them out of everything, even Indian families. One of the first Indian families that I dealt with, he was very nice, Jaipur Wala, older man, devotional in his own way, and like all Jaipur people. And he was quite wealthy. So in Jaipur, he bought a big house, really amazing big house. It used to belong to some prince or king or something, with a big field for horses and cows. And so, but because his son lived in Jaipur and he lived in Japan, he put the house in the name of his son. So then the wife of the son, the mother was living there, the wife of this man, and the daughter-in-law just kept telling her, what are you doing in my house? Why are you in my house? What are you doing here? Who are you? You can't be in my house. So she had to move out. And this goes on all the time in all countries. Children, they want to cheat their father and mother. many different ways. In India, they have a whole thing warning people, don't give your house to your children, before you die. They were advised to do that because then rather than if they inherit the house, they have to pay a big tax. But if you sell it to your son for $5 or something, then he doesn't have to pay that big tax. But then many times the children kick the parents out. So they're warning parents, don't do that. Put everything in a trust and so many things. So this is the evils of Kali Yuga that is just getting started. We have the medicine, the Bhavoshadi, Hare Nama, Hare Nama. Everybody can say that. Hare Nama, Hare Nama. Everybody, Hare Nama. Turn on your mic. Hare Nama.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Nama Kevalam.
Hare Name
Kevalam,
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 Lona Steva.
Hello
Nasteva,
Nasteva,
Nasteva, Nasteva.
Nasteva, Nasteva,
Katir Anyata.
Yatir Anyatra.
Yeah, there's no other way in Kali Yuga. No other way, no other way. Hari Nama Eva Kevalam only. No other way. Other things that we do, no matter how charitable it is or, it looks good, if it's not provoking love of Godhead, then it's Shrama Eva Kevalam. It's certainly entirely and nothing else except waste of time. Useless waste of time. Hansa Dutta. Where is Hansa Dutta? See the picture. All right, so let's see if we have any comments or questions.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah, where are you?
Kandra said Maharaj Patulu. I'm in New Brindavan,
New
West
Vrindavan.
Virginia.
Okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. All right. You have any comment or question?
For the moment, no. I'm in the supermarket, so I will step out soon and I'll ask a question. It's very distracted here. Thank you.
Yeah, where are you? Outside?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Mahaksha, any comment?
I
Can't
would
hear
have,
you.
I would have comment, but it's very sad comments like you said about these children cheating parents. Actually, it's everywhere. I can see like we had neighbor, old parents, very old parents, and they living with very bad conditions, like bad house. Here is winter, so they have really cold during the winter. And recently they died, they left body, and immediately when they died, the children came and whole house was repaired and sold immediately. But when the parents lived, they didn't even like provide basic heating for them. It was so it's all the time like this. And I
Yeah.
see that this when the parents write house or flood on the children become mad and start shouting to parents like, it is my house, it is my flat. Exactly like this I saw personally, and it's really sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, it's Kali Yuga. So hopefully we won't be like that. Respecting old people. We did a program one time in Ghana somewhere, and it was a place for old people. It was a daycare center or something. And so it was, like reasonably wealthy people. And the man there, he asked me, why don't people take care of their parents anymore? And I read it, said, like India and Africa were the last places where, there was still a basic standard of taking care of your old parents. But even now, Indian families, many, many times it's not like that. So we have to uplift the consciousness of the planet by vibrating the holy name, by vibrating the Bhagavad Gita, distributing the Bhagavad Gita profusely, and trying to make arrangements to, where people will read it. I saw it was in Ota at Ganga Prasad Prabhu's place. So we went to an Indian group, and this was a dormitory. The men were working. But one room they'd made into a temple, and they made it quite nice. They had big pictures of the universal form and Sita and Ram and Krishna. And then I was looking, they had 2 altars, and I was looking in the back of one of the altars. There was a lot of things. And in the back, there was a pile of books. It was the Srimad Bhagavatam set. But even they didn't have it turned where you could read the name Srimad Bhagavatam. The edge of the pages were showing forward, and that's their idea of, the value of the books, keeping it, on a shelf. But the books are for reading. When I spoke Saturday at the Gita Jayanti program, they said to speak on making the Bhagavad Gita practical in this life, modern day. So I was thinking, but what is the first thing we have to do if we want to apply the Bhagavad Gita to our life? First 2 things. So far, nobody answered. Huh? Somebody's clever?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah.
First is to read the Bhagavad Gita. Read it.
Yeah. You have to have it, and then you have to read it. It's like for Sankirtan, I knew these rules when I saw a class by Shetsika Prabhu, 4 golden rules of book distribution. First one is good sadhana. Without that, we can't preach. We can make show, but it won't have any effect. Then you have to get books. Then you have to show the books, not keep them hidden away, safe. They have to be visible. And then you have to organize 4 steps. So if you want to use the Bhagavad Gita in your life, we have to have it, of course. Then we have to read it. So I was remembering that Mataji Ladini Dasi, the one who was murdered there in, Liberia. And she was a great devotee, really dedicated. And I read like her story. When she was in New Vrindavan, she had a temple up on a hill all by herself with big Jagannath deities. And she had to do everything. She had to walk down the icy hill and bring water. She had to cook and clean. And she said she kept a book open in every room. Every room had a table, and she kept an open book there so that whenever she came by, she could read something, because she never had time to sit down and just study. So I thought that's a good idea. People tell you we have the Bhagavad Gita. You should have one in every room. Because most people have it and they haven't even taken off the plastic wrapper yet, when we give it to them. So we try to help people. We have to be compassionate. They don't know. But if they chant the holy name and they get prasadam, they get purified, then they can understand it. And if you read the book, you're going to read it more. If you distribute the book, you'll get the special mercy of being able to distribute more books. You'll get more books. You'll get more chance to distribute books. because there's nothing better gift that Krishna can give you, to preach. Krishna says in chapter 18 that no one is more dear to me than someone who preaches this Bhagavad Gita to the devotees, he says. But then Prabhupada explains that a devotee, he thinks everyone is a devotee, so he preaches to everyone. Krishna gives some rules. You shouldn't preach to certain types of people. But devotees, we don't harass people. We don't preach to the unfaithful. But we try to present to everyone the opportunity. Then we have to be, watchful to see how they react. And if they have the slightest bit of interest, then we want to pursue it more. Fan the spark. In the morning walk in Vrindavan, Prabhupada was talking about Lord Nityananda. So he said, just fan the spark. That's a common saying. It's by Shesika Prabhu's Instagram page. Prabhupada said, Lord Nityananda fans even when there's no spark. Everybody here, maybe to start a fire when you're cooking, you have to fan it. Fire needs air. So with Prabhupada, Nityananda Prabhu will fan even no spark, and he'll create a spark. So this is our business as Nityananda followers. How can we approach the jug eyes and mud eyes? Okay. Anyone else?
Well, Maharaj, Hare Krishna, I have this question about one of the statements that Prabhupada made in the purport, that even in married life, if the husband and wife do not follow the appropriate time for meeting, that is also considered prostitution. I'm wondering, so what is the time for Grihastha couples to meet?
Well, basically it's, when you want to have a child. So for most women, the fertile time is some few days after the menstruation ends, for a few days. So at that time. For some women, Kali Yuga, everything's so messed up, it may be a different time. And then that requires, doctors and everything trying to figure it out. But that's the basic rule. Once a month, at that time. And, the idea is you want to have a child. So you want to do the Garbhadam Samskar and all these things. When I joined it, devotees talked about that a lot because it was so shocking. It was like the most shocking idea of all of Krishna consciousness. And they told a story how, I think it was Hayagriva, he asked Prabhupada, what are the rules? And Prabhupada said that once a month. And then he said, well, you might as well forget it, huh? Prabhupada said, yeah. But some people do it. I read a book called The Autobiography of a Yogi. Someone gave it to me. It happened to be like right before I met devotees. But this Yogananda Paramahansa, he was a very pure Brahmana. He was a powerful yogi. And he was telling how his father was a pure Brahmana, Bengali Brahmana. He said, my father had sex 8 times and he had 8 sons. And when I read that, I never could imagine such a thing. That really made me wonder, my God, there's such a thing, because now, many people with lots of money are spending unlimited money because they can't get pregnant. And a lot of men, even they get a new wife, because the first one didn't get pregnant, and still they can't. But these very powerful men who control their senses their whole life, they can have sex 8 times and every time have a first-class son. It's possible. Anyway, that's the basic rule. The Prabhupada was a little liberal, at least with your wife, but then no birth control. So, if you have children, then we're responsible for taking care of them their whole life. I mean, up to a certain point, trying to teach them and tolerating all the trouble it is to raise children, loving them no matter what, So when people are very controlled and they really want to have a child, they really appreciate the child. I'll go back to this verse I was mentioning. Ya idam paramam guyam magbhaktesh vavidasyati bhakti mai param kritva mam evaisyat yasamshayaha. This is 1868, right at the end. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. Krishna promises that so many times. He's telling many times you should preach. You should teach people about the Bhagavad Gita. And we can't explain it. We can distribute it. We can encourage people to read it. Encourage people to join online classes or something. There's all kinds of beginners classes for Bhagavad Gita. I know Vraja Leela Devi, she had one time. Probably still does. Then the next verse, Nacham tasman manusyeshu kasyan me priya kritama bhavata na cha me tasmad anyat priyataro bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Very strong statement. So each one teach one. Everybody can teach somebody. If you don't know anything, you just say, I like this book. You might like it. Please read it. Then one more verse, number 70. Adyesyate chaye imam dharmyam samvadam avyaya jnana jagyena tenaham ishta swam iti me mati. Then I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. So there's many ways to worship Krishna. We can just bow down with our body. We can use our words. But if we really study the Gita, that's intelligence, the highest thing. Brings everything else under control also. One more verse. He who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. And that's basically the end of the Bhagavad Gita. Then Krishna tells Arjuna, did you hear it? Is everything all right? Now you can do whatever you want. And that's when Arjuna says, I surrender. I take everything you say seriously. Then after that, Sanjaya is speaking. So Hiranyakashipu, he took birth. Story comes, Diti tried to keep them in. She didn't want them to take birth. But even when they were in the womb, the whole universe was getting disturbed. Then they were born. There's earthquakes and floods and volcanoes and everything all over the world. And the purport is that when there's all these natural disturbances, that means that demons are taking birth. So now we hear about earthquakes and volcanoes a lot, floods. Now there's a flood in South Thailand, where I go. And I just heard of a big volcano in Ethiopia or something. You know, there's a huge number of big apartment buildings burning down in Hong Kong because demons are taking birth, because the atmosphere is suitable for demons until we get it purified. So more and more devotees want to come. All right. Any other question? We had a kind of a good time in Nigeria. If anybody's interested in Wari, Kamalaksha, I don't know how he did it. He built a very beautiful temple, good quality construction with guest rooms and a beautiful altar for Gornitai. He had a Rath Yatra that went down a very busy road, lots of people on, not cars so much, but so many people on both sides of the street, perfect for a theater. Then we had a big hall at the end, and that was all devotees, but lots of entertainment from the children and different devotees, different people speaking. Along the route, many books were distributed. And I don't know, over 100 devotees were there for the festival. And then when we got back to Lagos, we were invited by the embassy for their Gita Jayanti. And that was in the beautiful Gita Ashram temple. So they let me speak. A couple others, people appreciated. I told them, Bhagavad Gita, you don't have to do very many things, just 4 things. Manmana bhava mad bhakto majaji mam namaskaru. Mami vaisasi. You have to simply become my devotee, think of me, worship me, bow down. You don't have to do many complicated things, but we have to do those things. How to think of Krishna, they like that. Had everybody chant the sloka a few times. Okay. All right. So who's next in line?
Sangrita, do you still have a question? Do you have something to say? I saw you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. Maharaj, please, my question is, deity, what did she do for her to give birth to these 2 demons? Because Mother Yashoda, she prayed and do austerity to have a child like Krishna, and Krishna facilitated that. So, and this lila of these demons, it's something we're supposed to happen because they take 3. They tell Krishna to become 3 demons so that Krishna can save them, and this has to happen. And somebody has to be there to do something for this to come through her. So what did the deity did for her to give birth to these 2 demons? Because the story says that all her sisters were giving birth, and she was not having children. And the time he has to have children has to come this way. So all we know that he has, all I know that he gave birth to these 2 demons. But what did she do for her to give birth to these 2 demons? This is my question, Maharaj.
Anybody can answer that? We said it right in the beginning.
Oh, sorry, I was. I'm stepping in and out. That's why maybe I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
She-
Maharaj, his question is not just so about the improper time of copulation, but he wants to find out what did DT do maybe in her previous life
Yes.
to warrant being the medium for
Yeah.
this incident to take place. Just like
I-
Yashoda prayed, Devaki prayed, and they were answered.
Many.
So that is his question.
Well, I have never heard of any
I agree.
explanation. She's a very exalted personality, right?
Mm.
Who's her parents? Who's her father? I mean, she's like one of the
Daksha?
original, she's one of the original Prajapatis of the universe. I've never heard anything about previous life.
Mhm.
If somebody wants to do a deep search, you can go on some kind of AI and maybe find something. It's never in the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada never mentioned it. The lesson is more for this immediate cause of them being demons.
Mm.
But then when she was so upset that she would have these demon children, and then her husband said, but they will be killed by Vishnu. Then she became happy because she knew if they're killed by Vishnu, they're going to get liberated. But when they were actually got killed by Vishnu, then she wanted to stop it, but her motherly love was dominating. So she got that benediction. And then her grandchild would be the, Prahlad. So she's definitely something special. So if anybody knows, you can enliven us, or otherwise you can search.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
In this case, we're concerned with the present life.
Yeah. Well, Maharaj, following what Srila Prabhupada said and the explanation you gave to my question, then it seems to me that if one is really committed to following what the scriptures say, what Srila Prabhupada was saying in this purport, then it means that married couples who can no longer bear a child don't have to meet. They don't have to have
Definitely.
intimacy. They don't.
Yeah. Sex
Yes.
is for, animals have sex for having children. They're automatically regulated. They have seasons. Humans have to control their senses. So, that's the point of, if you want to get out of the material world, we have to give up material pleasures. So, but like Jayapataka Maharaj told me one time, one of his disciples said, he came and said, I'm not going to have any more children. So Jayapataka Maharaj said, good, that means no more sex. He said, no, I got the thing tied up so I can have sex without getting children. I have more sex now. So, the mind is very, very tricky. But if we're getting the pleasure of the holy name, nobody knows how much nectar there is in these two names, Krishna. That's the point. But if we're always getting distracted by different sense gratification, we won't get that intimate relationship with Krishna, and we won't get the full nectar of the holy name, and we can always be easily pulled back down into sense gratification. It doesn't mean we're cold-hearted and unfriendly to the wife, but like Prabhupada said, we don't need the combination of two urinals. There's higher pleasures. Param drishtva nivartante. Shocking.
Maharaj, I'm
That's
thinking,
that. Then some say, well, that's just the topmost standard, but not everybody can come to that standard right away. So at least with your wife, but if there is, abortion and birth control are not recommended, that's for sure. And if you have children, then you have to pay the price and take care of them.
well, thank you, Maharaj, but I'm thinking that I'm not sure how true it is, but I've heard, especially in ISKCON, Grihastas, the man wants to take Vanaprastha, he cannot single-handedly take that decision. That decision has to be taken in consultation with the wife. The wife must give her consent, her approval.
That's right.
If that happens to be the case, then if two married couples, let's say the man wants to follow strictly what is said in today's paper, and the woman is not ready. I'm sorry, I'm putting the blame on women in this scenario. But if the woman is not ready, then what should the man do? Because if the man is not ready to satisfy the woman, and the woman decides to go outside, then who gets blamed? These are some of the things we as humans struggling with our senses are trying to figure out what do we do in this tamasic condition to improve ourselves, to become better devotees. We do not want our spouses to go outside because they cannot get what the spouse could provide him or her.
Yeah. So, there's different kinds of vanaprastha, different levels. So one is the husband and wife travel on pilgrimage together. We have a lot of couples like that. Their children are grown up. They left home, but they just travel and preach together, or they run a temple together. I asked Jayadvaita Maharaj, he was writing a book about vanaprastha, and I asked him, what about some of these couples, And I mentioned some of my godbrothers. He said, well, they've been vanaprasthas their whole life. They got married and they didn't even live together for many years. They just preached, Finally they get together and sometimes they have children. Like Yadavar Prabhu, he had the children when he was 50. And he was married, and the wife and he were together constantly serving Prabhupada. So it's not that the man just has to go off and leave. The wife is supposed to be under the care of the older sons. Like we were just saying, that's not always possible, right? Some of the sons, they don't care about their mother, or they're not capable of taking care. They want the mother to take care of them. So it's all case by case. But we can't just abandon the family. So that's what marriage means. It's a teamwork, and you have to work together. Someone can be a vanaprastha. Like one time Prabhupada said, all the women should get married and all the men should stay brahmachari. So somebody said, how can that be? And Prabhupada said, yeah. But then he also has a term, Grihastha brahmachari. The man is married, but not for sense gratification. He's married so the husband and wife can help each other serve Krishna, or they can train their children to serve Krishna. Not just to, and serve each other's senses. Then they'll be very, very happy. And like, I don't know if you ever watched that Nam Rasa podcast.
Yes, I listen to him sometimes.
Yeah. So he was interviewing my godbrother and godsister, Kamalini and Apurva. So they're my age. They've been married like 50 years or something. They're dynamic preachers. Still see her distributing books. Wherever he goes, he's the best cook in the movement, and he makes big feasts and preaches also. Their son is Amala Harinam, the famous kirtan. So they were telling how they got married in New York. They went to the marriage license plate and they didn't know each other's Karmi names even. They never met. But he had seen her and thought, I'd like to marry her. And then he didn't tell anybody, but then the temple president told her, you're going to marry Apurva. And she said, who is that? Because she's a Sankirtan. And they said, what do you mean you don't know him? He's a cooks your breakfast every day. So they got married. They never lived together for a long time. But then they've been living together for so many years, very nice children, and still preaching. So then somebody wrote in the comments, why did they take Vanaprastha? What's wrong with them? You're supposed to take sannyas. But that is sannyas, not one who lights no fire and does no work. It's one who giving everything for Krishna. That's a higher level. So that's, the couple should gravitate towards the family life is more finished up, children are grown up, and they can concentrate more on their spiritual life. That, what they came together, hopefully in the first place for that. All right. We have many, many couples like that. My godbrothers, and I think others now coming up also. They've been married 50 years and they're still preaching together. They support each other, It would just reduce preaching if they split up. Like Apurva had some dementia. I think it's okay now, but and then she took care of him so that he could still carry on with his cooking and everything, but he couldn't find his phone all the time and stuff like that. But then they found out some kind of infection and then now it's much better. But this is okay. So the idea is, but you should give up the sense gratification. No more need to decorate the house or, the children are gone. Hopefully the children are taking care of themselves. All right.
Well, thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah.
For,
Gauranga.
yes.
Ganga Prasad Ki Jai.
Yeah.
They're having next Sunday in Lagos best puja for Radhanath Swami. Very auspicious day. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just got here and it was an easy flight, but the whole trip at the airport. And usually your carry-on bag is supposed to is 7 kilos. They said 5 kilos, but they let me go with 6 and point something. The girl was nice. I said, I'm an old man and it's much easier to wield this than to carry something. He said, that's why I'm letting you take it.
Maharaj, we're very
I told
grateful.
one girl once, I said, you know, that like when I get on the African plains, the guy next to me weighs at least twice as much as me, right? But he got the same baggage allowance as me. I said I should get more baggage allowance because I'm only 150 kilos. The Japanese girl said, they're suffering so much because they're so fat. Very clever. They used the first international flights, they weighed you and the baggage. They had some limit of the combination. Now everybody gets the same baggage. They don't care how much you weigh.
You weigh.
Some people have to buy 2 seats because
Wow.
they can't fit in one seat. All right. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Maharaj. We're very
Anybody
grateful
saw
that you could get to Ghana.
I just looked at the the search, and it said exactly what I said. DT always appears, as some kind of very special personality. There's first Prajapati, the daughters of Daksha, but there's no history in any Purana anywhere that anybody knows of about previous life. Okay?
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Okay, Maharaj, thank you so much.
Gauranga. And
Right.
if you haven't seen the Hiranyakashipu movie, please
No,
do.
I've watched it twice.
I like the part
in Netflix, yes.
where Hiranyakashipu is being dragged by the hair by Lord Nrsingadev. And he was laughing and saying, I can't be killed in the day, I can't be killed in the night, I can't be killed by a man or a demigod. And he listed off all the things. And then Nrsingadev ripped him open and said, it's not day or night, it's not inside or outside, it's not a man, it's not an animal, it's not a demigod, it's not a weapon. And there he was, finished. Yeah. You can't trick Krishna. He knows the best, but we keep trying. All right. Thank you very much.
So, dear devotees, we're humbly requesting you all to kindly unmute yourselves so that we all can chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation and gratitude for His willingness to be with us today to share His love and wisdom with us all. Please, you all unmute. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Vancha kalpa taribhyascha kripa sindhu devacha patitana pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. All His Holiness Kavicandra Swami Maharaja ki jai.